When you think of an entrepreneur, you think of somebody that does it all, does it well, does it for themselves, one man show, right? No. There's so much that goes into building a business. One person can start it, but it takes a team, it takes people, and it takes purpose. We're going to talk about that next. Steve Walbolt on Purpose Under Pressure. The heat is on. Let's get cooking. This is Purpose Under Pressure, and welcome to it. This is a podcast about people, sometimes business people, sometimes families, sometimes you name it. We're all getting up out of bed, putting our feet on the floor, and getting after it on purpose. We have our why. At least we hope that we have our why. At least we think we have our why. But then those pressures come and they teach us a lesson, don't they? And they knock us down or they prop us up, one of the two. What do we do when the pressures hit? That's what this show is all about. We find out by talking to other people that have been through it. And that's what we're going to do next. Don't forget to like us or follow us or subscribe or tell a friend. If you tell others this show is worth listening to, they'll be impacted too. That's the way this goes. So thank you for doing that. Purpose Under Pressure is brought to you by my friends at Sandler by the Ruby Group. They have been with me since the beginning, and I don't see them heading anywhere unless I screw things up really terribly. So thank you very much to Sandler by the Ruby Group. They are serving sales professionals nationwide from Akron and Columbus. They're also in Jacksonville, Florida. They're a Capital Region, New York. They're up and down the coast, and they are killing it. Sales training, business growth, revenue generation. If that's your responsibility, there's a better way to do it. You do it on purpose. That's why we go together. They do things on purpose. It's not tricks. It's not gimmicks. It's not technique. It's how do we treat other people so that we can both gain and we can both win and we can both grow together. That's really what sales is all about. And that's what they do there at the Ruby Group. So check them out. You can find them at rubygroup.sandler.com. My guest today is a good friend, Steve Walbolt, president of MDG Flooring America, Kiba Studios. They're in Medina. They're in Cuyahoga Falls. They're in North Olmsted. They also own Monarch Flooring in Brunswick. When I met Steve, I think they had one of those names. And he has grown and grown and grown. He'll tell you his team has, and I believe that as well. He's also the Entrepreneur of the Year in Medina County. You don't gain that unless you know what you're doing. And so congratulations, Steve Walbolt. Welcome to Purpose Under Pressure.
Well, I appreciate the kind words, but that was all you, and you know it.
Well, no, you don't do anything until you do it. And that's something about this show. Like, we're all afraid. We're all got things that we want to do. And sometimes we actually just say, screw it. I'm just going to go. What's the worst that can happen? And most times we just go to bed and we put off the problem until the next day. And I don't think that's not you, right? You're an entrepreneur and you're killing it and doing all the things. How many dreams have you let go, and pushed to the side? I mean, we all do it, don't we? Isn't that what it's all about?
I mean, that's the ultimate goal of being an entrepreneur, right? Is that you want to change your entire life, right? And the successful ones want to not just change your life, you want to change your family's life, your team members' life, all the above, community. I think that's the ultimate goal.
That's absolutely it. And let's just talk about that. Let's talk about a little bit about how you got into the world of entrepreneurial endeavors. Why did you do it? How did you do it? What were you most afraid of? And kind of what's led you to today?
Sure. I mean, my story is we talked about it a few years ago on your podcast.
Yeah, the Dash of Grit podcast a long time
ago. Yeah. And, I left corporate America. Super grateful for my previous career. I am. It's taught me where a lot of the stuff I learned then I apply today. In our executive session this morning with my general managers, I was even telling stories about it. And you're talking almost 10 years later. So it tells you the impact it has made on my mindset, my future, how we run our company, all the above, how we lead our team. So they're a great company. But at the end of the day, too, it's still in corporate America, I was traveling a lot. I didn't want to travel as much anymore. Eventually, I wanted to have a family, and it was very hard in that position I was in. And yeah, great money. But at the end of the day, too, I wanted to create a lifestyle that I wanted to leave a legacy for me and my family, right? And had an opportunity to buy into a family company that wasn't doing too hot. And, a lot of people know the story. My uncle who founded it, Michael David Green, he had a bad car accident. He just passed away this year too.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I'm sorry to hear that.
I appreciate it. You want to talk about legacy? He left a legacy, right?
Yeah.
He's shining down, and I hope we're making him super proud of what we're trying to build here, right? And, That's kind of the driving point is that. And then, you know, really taking that leap it was faith. I don't know another word to use. Like, scared, yes. A lot of sleepless nights,
Mm-hmm.
anxiety. I still have those today, which I'm sure we're going to talk about.
Yep.
But I was so determined that I'm going to figure this out. And if I fail, you know what? I'm not a failure. I got to learn something from it because I'm going to keep moving forward. And that's the way, I have been, and not even my whole entire life. I don't know what that change was that like the aha moment went off, and it's all right. I'm going to figure this out and nobody's going to beat me. I'm going to keep pushing through all the adversity, the talking, the doubters, the haters, whatever you want to put in. And some of that's your family too. That's the tough part. Their heart's in the right spot, but their negativity can really bring you down if you let it sink in.
So we talk about pressure, and I want to talk about that a little bit because,
Mhm.
and purpose, we do things for a reason. I don't know that we always know the reason. Like you've talked a little bit about how you did it because you wanted something for yourself.
Sure.
And then it
Hmm.
became, we talked a little bit about your uncle's legacy and all the things that he did
Yeah.
for other people. And then we're talking about family. And then there's a little point in there, Steve, where you said, I'm just going to tell the doubters to go, I'm going to beat them. Like that becomes the
Mhm.
purpose. Does the purpose change as you go
I
through
think
that?
there's levels to it. I think there's levels to it. One, it's just getting started, right?
Just going.
Um, it's getting started, and that is truly, in my opinion, the hardest part. Um, but it's also the simplest part. And at that point, you think about it because you got a lot of friends. I lost a lot of friends, and some was me too. I've had to grow up myself too, and understanding that basically not everybody was negative to be negative intentionally. Some were negative because they didn't want to see somebody succeed, but
Mm-hmm.
others were they were just trying to care, and they don't know what it looks like on the other side. Hey, you got a good cushy job. You got this. From the outside it looks great, but if you're not happy, what's the point of it? Legitimately, and I wasn't happy. Not that I'm grateful for everything that job gave me, but I truly wasn't happy.
Yep.
Right? I wasn't making an impact. I did not want to travel anymore. And I'm like, how do I leave? How do I figure out how I leave a legacy and truly develop people and truly change their lives?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah,
I want to go back to something you said because I'm not quite sure I understand it. I can't wait to learn the
sure.
answer. How is it easy? You said it's really hard to do, but it's also easy to do. How is it
S-
easy to step out?
Simple,
Simple.
simple. I
Well,
think people
so how is
confuse
it
simple and
simple?
easy.
Yeah, yeah, I did. Because I'm like, man, it's not easy because you're afraid and you don't know and you're not sure and you've got but you're saying it's simple. What does that
Sure.
mean? What does that mean?
The simple part is if somebody truly is determined they want something, I've learned, that if somebody really wants something, they will fight through whatever to get to it. And a lot of times people say they want it, but their actions don't align with their words, right?
Mm,
So you could see if somebody's truly determined to go out on their own, go start their business, go acquire a company, whatever it is, what is the work they're putting in? And when it comes to the point, sometimes analysis paralysis, they overtaught themselves, they talked themselves out of it. But it is simple because literally what you have to do is go in and give your notice. That's that's
that's
it.
really it. Yeah.
That's as simple as it is, because at that point then you have to figure it out. You don't have a choice. Yeah, you can go get another job, but here's the thing.
Hmm.
If you go put your notice in and you leave, you try something on your own, you fail, 9 times out of 10, if you're a good employee or team member, they're probably going to rehire you, you know? So what did you really, what did you give up to try something? You
Mm,
know, what was the risk? A lot of times people think it's all or nothing. It's not all or nothing all the time.
no, it's
If you
never
make a
all or nothing.
mistake, maybe financially it does give you a little step back,
Hmm.
maybe,
Hmm.
depending on what type of business and all that. But at the same time, too, there's other companies out there hiring, and the competition's not as strong as it used to be years ago. So if you're a strong worker, you're going to find a job.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'd rather risk a year or two to find out if this is truly what I want or not, and that's basically what I did.
And did you ever look back? Were there moments where you said, "Oh, geez, oh man, give me that comfy desk back. I want it so bad." Can you
Yes.
tell me a little bit about the
Yep.
pressures that rise up?
Yeah. Yeah. When we acquired our company, thank God I didn't know how to read an income statement or a balance sheet, because my partner Donnie Green and I, and
Yep.
he's my cousin too.
Hmm.
We basically bought a company that was mountains of debt, and there was no end in sight on how to get out of this thing. So we had to figure it out. But I also am grateful I didn't know how to read that, because if I did, I wouldn't have left my job. I'd
That's
still
right.
be there today. So I think there's a blessing in disguise on that.
Are you advocating just, leap and worry about it later? Or should you have studied a little bit harder?
I think there's two sides to that, right? I think that's a two-sided question and two-sided answer, because I also think if you know too much, it might talk yourself out of it.
Yeah,
But if you're ignorant to some of the stuff, what you're relying on is faith, and I think that sometimes is the competing edge you need to be successful and
hmm,
figure it out along the way.
yeah,
And I still do it. I still have faith on a lot of the things that we decide to do and move forward, or risks we take. They're more calculated today. I think we're smarter in that aspect, but at the same time too, at some point you're not going to learn it all. Part of it is you have to get in the trenches to find out the true success about it, right? You can't, look at bodybuilders. You can't read about it and create a lifestyle and change your body by not hitting the gym. You finally have to end up going to the gym, and your first time in there is going to be a lot different than reading that book about how to lift weights.
well, that's for sure. So
Yeah.
you've done this. So, and we talked about when you were first starting and getting things done, going, and now you're a successful entrepreneur. Is there any, and that's why your response there is kind of where I'm heading. Is there ever any comfort as an entrepreneur? And if you do get comfortable, are you no longer an entrepreneur? Like, what's next for a successful entrepreneur?
I'm still trying to figure that myself, but you
It's
know,
hard, isn't it?
it is. It's years ago. There's different levels of comfort. You know, years ago it was, oh, we made payroll, we can breathe, right? Um, and now it's forecasting futures, right? But it's still a little bit uncomfortable. So depending on where you stand, there's different levels to that for everybody. Everybody's got their own journey, and my journey is going to be a lot different than anybody else's. But I also think the ups and downs and everything is very consistent with every entrepreneur. It's not smooth sailing. Every time you feel you got to figure it out, there's going to be another thing you got to tackle and learn. And if you go into it with a continuously never-ending, mindset of learning and a growth mindset, even if you don't want to go build a massive, multi-million-dollar company, you don't have to have a multi-billion-dollar company to be successful. Success is relevant. It's what you want it to be, right? It's not about the dollars. It's not about that. It's truly build your lifestyle, and then look
Mm.
at your team. We're at the point now where I think Donnie and I have talked about it. Was once we bought our first company, our second company, excuse me, acquired it, we thought we made it, right? We thought this is great. Life is good. We're good. Well, then all of a sudden we have team members that want to grow with us. If we don't give them opportunity, we might lose some good team members. So now it's not about just Donnie and I. It's not about our family. It's not about our, it's about our entire team. And I say it all the time. It's not about him or I. It's about us, meaning the entire company. It's not about you, not about me, and it's about us. And that has been a really big driving force for our organization to continue to grow, and build future leaders too, right? Because eventually, we would like to retire one day. You want to build it to do that. That's not even close to the goal today, but we also want to grow it and give opportunities to our current team members.
Yeah, and so as you're doing that, you're actually seeing people saying, "Okay, for MGD to succeed, I need for Joe and Jeff to grow so far that they leave and do something else
Correct.
to help us succeed." You're actually
Mm-hmm.
building almost an empire, if you will. So does it
You're
ever
building a
stop?
roadmap.
Does it ever stop for an entrepreneur? Do you ever take the foot off the brake, off the gas?
I'm not at that point to answer that in a great way because, I'm still, in my opinion, I'm at year 9, so I'm still early on, right?
Yeah.
But I also look now, yeah, financially, maybe it's a little better, right? But two,
Mm-hmm.
if we're not growing, we're dying.
Mm-hmm.
I look at it, if we do take the foot off the or put foot off the gas and start slowing down, it won't just slow down; it might go backwards, right? And that's the biggest fear I have personally. That you want to talk about sleepless nights. Those are the things that I stay up at night. Is how do we continuously be innovative? How do we take care of our team? How do we give opportunities that certain team members want?
That's right.
Um, they got to be earned. They have to be earned. It's our culture.
Right.
But at the same time, too, the ones that are earning it, we have to give those opportunities because if they're truly the right fit, it's not just Donnie and I grow in the company. Let's be clear; it's our entire team,
Yeah.
and that's key to it, right? So, as we've grown, it was maybe I'm wearing 8 hats. Well, now I might be only wearing 2 hats today because we hired somebody to take this hat that they do it better than I do, right? Or Donnie does it, and it's very very strategic now. It's very thought out. It's very visionary, and I think that's why Donnie and I are such great partners because I'm more the visionary style, and he's more the team member that just implements it. He's the implementator.
I think it's interesting what you talk about sleepless nights and wondering what's next and how to do it. I mean, you're successful. Entrepreneur of the year. You built this company. You're out of debt. Everything's going great. You've got all these different locations. People across the street from where you live, Steve, are going, man, Steve's got it made. He's rolling in it. But it's not true, is it? I mean, there's so much more pressure that you've taken on, that you're doing on your own, that you're doing, that you signed up for. It doesn't get easier, does it? People shouldn't
No.
think that it's just easy to own businesses. Once you've done it, you've made it. That's just not true.
Everyone in the organization needs to know how to sell. Sales is the strength of any company. Whether or not you're in marketing, operations, or even finance, everyone has a strong shared accountability towards driving top-line revenue. Whether or not you're client-facing or talking over the phone, you're able to build a stronger level of rapport with the clients. Everyone in the organization shares that responsibility to know how to sell.
People shouldn't think
No.
that it's just easy to own businesses. Once you've done it, you've made it. That's just not true.
No, and I think a lot of times too, people are scared of growth because there's bigger dollars. You got team that team members you got to take care of. If you're truly a good servant leader, but at the same time too, it does. Again, I don't use the word easy. It does get simpler.
It
Meaning
does.
now you have a team that it's not all the weights on your shoulders, right? You got other people you can talk to, listen to, they can find the solutions. You don't always have to have the answer all the time. Just empowerment, right? We have a very, very ownership mentality here. So every person owns their position or their department. I don't care what position it is. I don't tell people what to do anymore. And when I say anymore, I feel that was a mistake I made back in the day, is trying to be a dictator leader. And no, you do it. This is the way it does. Now we create SOPs for every position and then put the right people on the seat, right? But at the same time, too, let them help us create the SOPs. Let them help us create the KPIs, the measurable results. Because once that's created, at that point now, everything is all ownership driven and the data is there to where it's not emotional. It's fact. Did we hit it or did we not? If we didn't, did we follow the SOP or did we not? If we followed the SOP and it failed, all right, let's go back and add a new process to that SOP. Did the process fail us or did we fail the process? When you start creating that, it takes away a lot of the animosity between people, and it's very, very measurable to where they can grow. And then in return, we've set it up to where we're only successful if our team's successful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so you set them up with those procedures. Yep.
Yeah. And, the Entrepreneur of the Year award, I'll be very honest. I'm very grateful to have won it. I still don't know how I did, but I am very grateful for that. But that wasn't me. I can tell you this, that was our entire team. And I say that sincerely because this place today will run with or without me here. And that is a great feeling.
Mm-hmm.
That to me is one of the biggest purposes, that it's not dependent on me. And I've said it before, and Donnie and I talk about it. If the business is dependent on the owner, you don't really have a real business, and it's worth a lot significantly less than it is if it can run without you. Not that it's always just about the dollar, but if it is worth more, that means everybody's more successful.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of the things. And in the award, it was cool. It was great night. We had a lot of fun. We celebrated, but the next day, that didn't change who we are as
That's
people
right.
or anything we did. Right. I appreciated all the congratulations. I do. But at the same time, too, that cannot hinder who we are, our culture, kind of taking that deep breath. We've done that before years ago when we won some awards, and it really kind of exposed us. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the things where you take it, you're grateful for it, but it's got to be even more of a driver now.
Well, I think the definition of an entrepreneur is starting something and beginning something and being out on your own. It doesn't mean you have to be the one that accomplishes all the success. It's all on your back. You have to start it. But the idea of building something bigger for everyone else to enjoy, I mean, that's really what it's all about. And I think
Exactly.
that's why you win that award, because you took that simple step, but you're humble enough to understand that you don't accomplish anything without a good team. And you've done that.
Yeah.
I'm interested in, I remember I started the show, I talked about how you helped to encourage me to go ahead and do something. I said, I want to do this. And you said, yes. Do you ever say no? You've already said that, hey, what's the worst that can happen? If you try, it doesn't work. You go, I used to tell my wife, hey, if it doesn't work, I'll go sell screws at Home Depot. No big deal. I'll enjoy that. That'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
If someone says, hey, I think I want to do this, do you ever, why would you tell someone no? What would be the characteristics of someone that maybe they're not ready yet to take that simple
Sure.
step, or ever?
And it's not my place to tell somebody if they're ready or not, right? I can just give them my honest opinion, and I'm wrong at some points, right? So
Sure.
I don't think I'll ever tell anybody no, but I think today too, what I try to do is help them paint a more clear picture for them to make a decision, because there's
Based on
been a
your
lot of people that
experience.
yeah, and that's
Mm-hmm.
all I can give, right? That's all I can give.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times too, a lot of people they do take these leaps that they're not, whether it's a financial position or a mindset position, and they really bankrupt themselves, and that's not healthy either. The internet today and social media tells everybody to quit their job and go be an entrepreneur. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that is a terrible mindset. It's a terrible message. And a lot of, especially the younger generation, believe in that message. And again, talking about purpose, how do we help this younger generation kind of filter out that noise and find the true root? Because everybody's winning. But to answer
Right.
that question, it's really just, hey, have you thought of this? Have you thought of this? Have you thought of that? Right? Hey, are you willing to do this? Are you willing to do that?
Mm-hmm.
Right now, a lot of people, and I'm grateful that people come and ask me that. And trust me, I'm still figuring out myself. But when a lot of times I hear people that come talk to me, is they got a nice 9 to 5. They do. They're off every weekend. They get, they do cool vacations. Like, are you willing to be patient and give that up for 3, 4, maybe 5 years? Well, no. Well, this might not be the right decision for you.
Yeah.
Just that's my 2 cents. That's really, it's just asking questions and hopefully they can think a little deeper on it.
Yeah, I think that's helpful, and I wonder what it is that shines the light and says, yeah, you're ready to go, and what it is that says, make sure, because there's nothing wrong with making sure, check to see how deep the water is before you dive in head first. You should at least do that, and that makes sense. This is a strange time. Well, maybe they're all strange in the history of business. There's been so much revolution and change and evolution over time. But we're heading into uncharted territory in business and in life with AI and a lot of different things with just everything's changing so fast.
Yeah.
What are the pressures as an entrepreneur to keep this company and these companies afloat and doing well and successful, to keep everybody employed and doing the things that they want to do? What are the pressures coming up, the hurdles that you're going to have to overcome? And what are you thinking about as strategies to overcome those things moving forward?
Well, AI is not going away. Obviously, it is the future, and I think it's something that everybody needs to learn one way, shape, or form. But I also don't think it's a true replacement for hard work. I think a lot of times people think that's just the cheat code to success, and I'm not saying it doesn't help, but at the same time too, for example, I had a gentleman come up to me and he's like, "Oh, I'm going to start this side hustle, and AI is going to do it." Well, what happens if that goes down? He's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Well, just what happens if the whole thing shuts down, even if it's temporary? If it goes down, what do you do?" And I never thought of that. I'm like, but these are things you got to at least understand, have an understanding how it works and what does it do, because that could, just as much as it could find success for people, it could bankrupt people too if something happens to a platform. But also too, just teaching the mindset that it is not a replacement for education. It is not a replacement for hard work. It's not a replacement for any of that. You still have to be innovative. You still have to understand. You still have to learn that. We use it. We use it today in certain areas. And it does give us a little bit of an advantage, right? But at the same time, too, we can still do it even if we didn't have it, in my opinion. So that to me is where it's not a complete just cheat code.
Yeah. And how will you as a entrepreneur tame that? Because it, like you said, it's not going, and it's going to continue to get better. And maybe that's not even the crisis. I think for a small, locally owned business that does something, only you can ever do that. But you're going to have to overcome all these other cheat codes and all these other competitions and all these other things that are going to try to get in the way. Like how do you stay successful even as change happens so quickly, almost that you can't even control it?
It goes back to analysis paralysis. You're continuing learning and always ever changing to where that just it's state of confusion. I don't think changing all the time, because right now, look at the world. Every time you turn the corner, there's a new marketing,
Something different.
There's a new strategy. There's this and that. Yeah. Every month, I feel there's something new, and I get baited into the shiny object syndrome, and I have to learn to shut that down. And it's like, all right, well, now what we do is create little buckets to where, okay, we have this little budget over here. We can test some stuff. It doesn't disrupt our business. Now it's budgetary, right? We don't expect that. It is literally a line item on our income statement, and it defines if it's an expense or an investment, right? Yeah. Because I do like trying some of that stuff, but I also don't just roll it out just because I watched a 20-minute video on YouTube about it and it says it's going to change your entire life. I think you got to really well thought out. Right now, anytime we roll something out, we create committees within our organization, right? To where they meet up, whether it's biweekly, monthly, and they're the ones that roll it out to the company, not I. And it's helped with that ownership part. But to stay ahead, we're in such a impersonable world anymore that we want to stay personable. And it's, can we outsource handwritten thank you cards? Absolutely, we could. But what does that do for us? How many times I get something in the mail that person doesn't even know who I am, that I got it. That's just something that went through a machine, sent out. If it's truly handwritten, and I know there's machines that can do the handwritten stuff. Oh, yeah. But if it's truly handwritten, not from me, for example, like our sales team, if they sold it, they should do it because they were the one working with the customer, not necessarily me. Think of how impactful that is, not just for our team member, but for that customer as well. And I tell our team all the time, for example, like Christy, Christy very well.
Yeah, sure do.
It's not MDG Flooring. It's Christy at MDG Flooring.
Yeah.
She needs to build her brand. And I'm not scared of that, because people are like, well, what if they leave you? Well, I mean, I hope they don't.
Good for her.
But if she feels she's better, it's not, we're still going to move on. Life still moves on. We don't want to. Hopefully we take care enough of our team that they don't want to leave. But same time too, our culture is growth. That's one of our core values is growth. So we have to commit to that.
I'm thinking about the future, and I'm thinking about you, and I'm wondering, and this will be my last question. I promise I'll stop and let you get back to building businesses. 20 years from now, 30 years from now, you're going to look back. What will people remember you for? Is it for beginning the business, for building a lot of businesses, or is it something completely different? What will people know you because you did what you did?
Yeah, That's a loaded question there. If I had, one, I know I'm very tough. I am. I'm becoming more aware of that. Not that I want to lose my toughness, but I also got to handle it in a much better way, right? Because I think that higher, great expectation becomes great reward. And I think a lot of times I'm a big Nick Saban guy, and he doesn't train to get it right. He trains so they don't get it wrong. And that's a big thing. So continuously coaching, training, no matter where our company takes us or what routes or journeys we go, I think at the same time too, we're just trying to create great lifestyles for people with great mindsets to where they're making an impact on their community with, whether it's their kids or if they're heavily involved in their school, how do they make an impact? How do they create future leaders? Because I think our world needs a lot more leaders right now. It's pretty scary.
Creating future leaders. You said that, and I think that's what it's going to be. I think I
think that would be what it would be.
Yeah, and you should be proud of that. I think that's what we should all do, and that's amazing. So, Steve, thank you. I do want to say this one more time as I let you go. You're making an impact that you don't know. By building what you're doing, by hiring the people that you're hiring, by empowering them to grow, by serving your customers the way that you do, allowing them to live better lives for however they're doing that. Entrepreneurs, business owners do that. When they're doing it on purpose, they do that, and you are doing that. And you'll never see it all. I know you won't, and you know that. But it's amazing to go ahead and pat yourself on the back a little bit because you're making a huge impact, and people are glad you've done what you've done.
I think too, one last comment I want to make too on that is, our team's allowed to challenge Donnie and I too. And I think that's very healthy. And there's times, guess what? We're wrong. And guess what? We have to be aware of that and have the humility to simply say we're sorry and we're going to fix it too. We can learn just as much from the team as they can learn from us. If not, we can learn more from them. And I think that's one of the biggest things that, I've seen over the years is with our growth is it's not hierarchy, right? We each have a job to do. And as long as all of us are doing our job and can have those honest talks with each other, if somebody's failing with it, but factually, right? Including myself, come talk to me about it. I can learn just as much. And yes, there's times that I got to follow my sword and I got to fix some things too.
That is true.
And having that open door is where I think the aha moment went off for us. And when really things started growing, everyone's always chasing sales. It will come. Create a good culture, create a great team with a lot of empowerment and continuously training them. You can't be beat.
I know you like to help people. If someone wanted to talk to you or talked about entrepreneurialism or any about your companies or whatever it might be, how would they reach out to you and get a hold of you?
Yeah, probably the best way now is LinkedIn.
Now that you're back in,
on LinkedIn. Yeah, I'm getting back into LinkedIn. I got yelled at by a good mutual friend of ours. So that'd probably be the easiest way right now is shoot me a message on there, and I'll be pretty quick to get back to you on that. And then we'll take the conversation elsewhere if we need to.
Very good. I know you will. You're one of the good ones, and I know that you'll keep doing what you've been doing, and I think that's key. And I asked some of the questions like, "What's next?" And that's what it's all about. We need people like you to create these opportunities so that people can become people like you. If you want to listen to that again, it makes sense because that's what opportunity is all about. That's Steve Walbolt. He is the president of MDG Flooring America, Kiba Studios all over Northeast Ohio, especially in Medina County, doing great things there. And I'm glad that you were my guest this week on Purpose Under Pressure. This is Purpose Under Pressure. It's brought to you by Sandler by the Ruby Group, sellers under pressure to perform, and Sandler helps you to succeed on purpose. That's what this is all about. You'll find all past episodes of Purpose Under Pressure at bryanmediastrategies.com/podcast and wherever you stream your favorite shows. We do this every week, and we will see you next time on Purpose.